don't have to have. Thank you.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Good morning, Paul. Oh, I better.
Patty is here, Garcia, and
Yeah.
Maureen C.
Yes.
And Olivia Roseberry has been excused for today. And we'll miss her, but she has other things to do.
Yeah.
And to begin, I would like to approve the February 26 minutes that Maureen had taken. And if we could take a look at that and have a motion to approve or disapprove, that would be appreciated.
Was it the 26th or the 27th?
It's 27th. Yeah.
Oh, I had the wrong date. Thank you. I got the wrong date on here.
On which way?
I'll correct that.
You have the wrong date on the minutes?
On the notes. I'm calling these my notes. And
Oh, on the notes. Yeah. Okay, let me go back to the notes. Now I have to see. I got to go back in my email and then get your other message up.
So if I may, Paul, I hope today we'll have a chance to talk about these two changes that I'm proposing that are in my notes. Remember, my assignment was I was going to draft up
Yes, the ones
new
you
language
highlighted.
personnel and new language for public records. And I hope we'll have a chance to talk about that. That's all.
Sure. And I was hoping to try to get that on the agenda. So if I didn't put it on the agenda correctly, then we will certainly talk about that.
Okay.
So can I have a motion to approve the February 27th?
So moved.
Okay.
A
And
second.
all right, all in favor, say aye.
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 So the minutes approved. Thank you. So now we can take a look at our draft agenda. And you can peruse through that. And if we need to make any changes, now would be the good time to do that.
Olivia didn't do the minutes, but she did do this colorful chart, and we're going to submit it with the minutes and make it part of the document. Okay.
Okay.
Remember, I proposed last time that we all send in, and you can send it to me if you want, a few sentences summarizing your thoughts on this meeting, you know, what you think. And if you do that, that will become our minutes.
Mhm.
Okay. So, I mean, 2-3 sentences, that's it. That's all you need. And I'll put it up like, this is what Paul said, this is what Patty said, this is what I'm saying, and this is what Olivia said, period. Okay. Because we don't have a minutes taker.
No, but we do have recording. And when you have the recording, you don't have to have minutes. And it is.
They are
good to
telling
have
us
them.
no, Patty, they're telling us we have to have minutes. That's the
Really?
requirement. Yeah, we have to have minutes. And we have to submit it to them, and it goes on the website. That's the new rule.
I didn't catch that.
The other night, they explained all of these things, and it's coming from Randy.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
The
any
notes
other
are-
changes to the draft agenda?
I got to get it back on my computer. I mean,
Okay.
that's the thing. I can only do this one email message at a time. And where is it? It's down there.
Can I bring
There.
something up, please?
Sure.
Okay. So there were some notes in here about bringing up something about the county manager. Do you remember that, or is that something we need to add to the agenda?
Let me see what I wrote down. Don't have anything about that. Did we discuss the county manager last time? We did, didn't we?
Very shortly, but I don't think we came to any
We may have,
conclusion.
I think our comment was, gosh, no wonder he doesn't want to be elected because his salary would be so much less.
I remember. I think I made that comment. Well, you know what? I'm confusing our committees with elected.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Last
Everything is so
time,
confusing.
let me see. I've got the minutes for this. I've got the notes for operations. Our last meeting, we did not discuss recommended memorandum. No, we did not discuss the county manager.
Okay. So we won't do that today then.
Yeah,
Like I say, I think it was only in passing because we are discussing salaries.
Uh-huh,
yes,
okay. So I have a question for you, Maureen.
yes.
On the proposed agenda, does that cover the areas you were wanting to cover, the San Juan County Personnel Manual and,
Well, I want you to read what I wrote and I want you to talk, is this, do you want to add to this? Do you want to subtract to this? These are the things, these are the changes that I am proposing
I just want to
for
make sure,
the charter.
I just want to make sure they are, it's part of our agenda for today. So let's include that.
Okay,
So are we ready to move on?
yes.
Okay, so personnel system is first on the agenda. And Maureen, you want to take it away?
Sure. This is just a very short fix to the manual. The manual, the reason this is coming up is because I have learned from many people and former commissioners and former council that the personnel manual, that sometimes elected departments don't follow the personnel manual. They do their own thing.
Mhm.
And so it was recommended to me to put some language into the charter with a kind of a sterner voice to say, we are one county and we are one personnel manual, and that's what everybody should be acknowledging and following. And if it's in the manual, it sort of covers. So that's what this is addressing. You guys might have better language than this. This just came off the top of my head.
Where in the charter should it go?
And in personnel, Article 8,
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And we can list.
yeah,
state
and the
what
way
they're
I'm
saying.
seeing this is that, the way I see this is we have a list of tasks, right? We have our priority list.
Mhm.
We start
Right.
going, we start checking off what we've done. And
Yep.
this is what we're doing. We're doing, here's the one on personnel, that can be checked off. And then the next one will be on the public records. And then at the end, we can vote on all of it and send the recommendations to the full commission.
So
Is that
Maureen,
okay?
the one you submitted to us entitled Operations Subcommittee Personnel County Procedures and Public Records and list 1 through 7, is that the list you're talking about?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Oh boy, I gotta find that, but oh well.
This
You
is
got it. So.
This is behind your agenda. I sent it to you with it on the back of the agenda. So if you scroll past the agenda, you'll come up with this.
Yeah.
You might want to make a copy of this, Patty, so that you have it
Yeah,
as a reference during meetings.
So let me get back to the agenda. I thought I scrolled down as far as I could go and it didn't get me anything else, but I'll go back and see.
Patty, if
I'm
I can,
sorry, you guys. This is
I
just,
can have a word. I sent out an agenda, I think Wednesday, and it didn't quite comply with the open meetings law. So then Marie
oh,
sent another one. And that one had.
I see it now. I see
There
it
you go.
now.
There you go.
The one with the
It's
link,
here.
the one with the Zoom link at the top is the
Yes,
one
that's
we
right.
have to
Mhm.
follow.
That's the one we're using.
No, I thought I had scrolled down on that, but I think I was scrolling down on your notes or something because here it is, operation.
So which one are we checking off, Maureen?
Well, if you guys are okay with it, we should review it again when Olivia's back. But I
And
mean,
submit. Yeah,
this is just
I
a simple
agree.
fix. This is a simple
Important.
fix. And then we
Yeah.
can say we've done number 1.
Okay,
Good.
are we ready to move on to number 2?
Moving on.
Add language to personnel manual, reinforcing diversity, anti-bullying, respect. That was something that also Olivia was interested in too as well.
I think this is one of her points.
Oh, okay, very good.
I didn't want to touch that because there's going to be a lot of language coming out of the preamble that they're writing.
Uh-huh.
And I think one of the things that we should have is consistency through the charter. And I think this kind of language can be thrown in anywhere, but it should be consistent with what that first piece is going to say. So I think we should
True.
wait on that.
I
Okay,
think the important part here though is as far as personnel is concerned, anti-bullying and that sort of thing, which probably won't be addressed in the preamble. So yeah, those things are important to be acknowledged that there's no place for that in,
Oh.
you know,
Oh, that's a good point. So maybe Olivia can dig up some language on this and bring it to us and we can
Yeah.
put that in. That'd be great.
Kind of the harassment factor thing. You don't want that, and that doesn't go anywhere else, but
Mhm.
except the personnel.
But the personnel manual does have language
That's already
about harassment.
Mhm.
okay. Well, that to me that's bullying, but you know who knows. We'll let Olivia address what she means.
Is it okay to go back to number one just for a second?
Absolutely.
So when I became assessor back in the late 80s, I remember being approached my first term by Tom Cowan, and because he was a commissioner back in the day, and he was representing the personnel department, and he was trying to get the signatures from the elected officials to go along with the personnel system. And I was kind of confused at the time because I was not privy to why that was done. I guess I was assuming that I would be, I mean, the elected official, be subject to the personnel rules of San Juan County. But then in further research, there were some RCWs that I was kind of looking at back in the day where elected officials were independent from county personnel systems. Do you know
Oh,
anything about that, Maureen?
I do. And I love Tom Cowan. He is a terrific man, a really good guy. I think there might be, I don't think we have it in any of our documents, not the commission, but the county.
Right?
But I think Randy exercises that clause because
So if you don't mind, Maureen, could we check that out with Randy to see if there are two standards, one for elected and one for
yes.
heads? I'd just like to clear that up.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah.
Um,
And fortunately, I didn't have to do any personnel situations for the years I was assessor, so I didn't have to find out whether I was subject to it or not.
Well, you know who that should go to? That should go to James Wolfe. He is the HR person.
Oh, yes, that would be fine.
Would you like me to contact him and ask him that?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind, because you know him, don't you?
I do. Well, sort of. But the thing is, we're not supposed to go to Randy directly. It's supposed to go through Kevin, and that just delays us. So let me start with James Wolfe.
Please. Thank you, Marie.
Sure, you're welcome.
Okay, are we ready to move on item number 3?
Sure.
Evaluate departments' employee satisfaction, current chain of command protections from executive pressures.
This is the same. Yeah.
Oh, can we explain that a little bit more, to elaborate a little bit more?
I don't, this is not mine.
I was going to say it's probably Olivia's.
I'll tell you who it is. I've got the lists right here. I don't even think it's somebody. See that that's where I think they made a bunch of mistakes on this thing here. Okay, that is Kyle Davies.
Oh, Kyle. Okay.
So
Feedback on how people are treated, maybe. I mean, that might go with the ombudsman or ombudsperson kind of situation,
yeah,
because we need to have that capability for people who are having problems with their supervisors or their fellow workers. They have to be able to go somewhere and discuss that isn't their supervisor.
Well, since it's ended up on our committee, do we need to explore that a little bit further?
I think so.
No, you think so?
I think 3 should be kind of blended in with 4, and we should maybe treat it as one item.
I can see.
Although the 5th one is the same thing.
Yeah, they all fold in together, don't they?
Yeah. I'm not the one who brought up the ombudsman. That was Dave Anderson. And then Olivia and Kyle on the next one. So we need Olivia to move on those things. So I'm going to mark those 3 as kind of in the same.
Yeah.
3, 4, and 5.
Well,
But
looks like,
that is an important part of our committee, I believe.
so we also have number 2 for Olivia as well. So we have all 4 of those really coming under her umbrella.
Need Olivia here. Yeah.
Yeah, she probably has some thoughts on what she wants to say. So,
Mhm.
okay.
Well, that really moved down our agenda really quickly, doesn't it?
Now this
Well,
number 6,
yeah,
how
again,
do-
that's Kyle Davies.
yeah, and so I know working at the university, there's a lot of evaluation going on of your mentor, meaning the kids who are taking classes evaluate their teachers. And it does, it actually comes into, in some departments, whether the people get raises or not, depending on the evaluations they got. Now, to expand that and put it on evaluating your boss is a little difficult. So I don't know whether we can do an employee satisfaction thing, but I think it all goes in with the ombudsman, at least if there's an ability to take whatever feeling you have to someone and talk it out and see if there's an issue there. We might not need to evaluate our superiors. I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from necessarily.
So this particular number 6 is in evaluating the county manager?
I
That's what
don't
it looks like. That's what it
Yeah,
says.
it is. It is county manager. Yeah, it is. Okay. Interesting.
But you know, in the county, having worked there, a lot of people are afraid to say anything about their bosses. They're just afraid.
Sure.
And I can understand it. There were some bosses that would be displeased to have a subordinate criticize them. So this is delicate.
Yeah, it is.
We might
Well,
want to ask for some, what's the word? Some help with this from Kevin and just say, this is not feeling, we're not sure where to take this.
That's a
And
good
does he have some suggestions for how to move forward with that?
Because it's important for we've got a lot of people who work in the county. Oh my gosh. And we want them all to be happy. It's one of the reasons I think that the ombuds position is good, but the ombuds person needs to know what to do with whatever information they get. And sometimes my experience has been that you might get disgruntled people, which we did recently with one of the boards I was on, and they came to the board against their manager and they had some good thoughts, but you didn't have the other side of it. And so we as a board had to go to the manager, and of course he was, oh my God, what's going on here? And then it turns out in a way that those couple of employees were actually bringing up things that were more personal. I mean, it's really an issue that maybe the manager was okay, but so it's important to have somewhere to go to work these things out. But as far as evaluating the county manager, since the county manager is directly responsible to the county council members, it might be nice to have the county council do an evaluation every year or something where they ask for input from wherever, and the input can be anonymous as far as going to the manager with it, but it will help the county council evaluate them. And if the manager's position continues to be appointed, I think the manager should be evaluated every year.
So would the personnel department come in here?
Yes, and they will, but here's another glitch that I am just thinking of when you were talking, Patty.
Uh-huh.
A lot of our employees in the county are union.
Yes.
So 1849 would be the interceding person. I've had, when I worked in the council's office, I was non-union, but when I worked in the planning department, I was union. And they told me right off the top, if a manager asks to see you, contact me immediately. You don't have to sit
be
in the room
represented.
alone with them. I mean, they're very protective of the employees. So there's a whole other layer. So an ombudsman, I can't say that word, but somebody
Ombuds person.
Yeah, I can't either.
that old man
Yeah.
has to be careful because they can't represent everybody. The union is a big force. You got to be careful here.
Well, I guess it depends on what that position is. I'm not thinking of it as being representational necessarily, but more a place to go to air your feelings, and then the ombuds person decides, okay, is this something that should be taken to the union, or is this something that should go somewhere else, or is this just you and me talking about it like a counseling session? Or, I don't know. It's just, it's good to have some place where you can go that isn't your manager, and you can't go directly to the council, and you can't go, it's like, oh my God, I've got an issue. I need to talk to somebody about it who knows more than I do about this system.
Do you,
I don't know.
do you think it might be appropriate to talk to personnel folks and see how they see this sort of thing working? I'm sure
Yeah,
that.
I do. I do.
So,
I think one of the things we need to get, yeah, that's a good idea. Talk to HR.
yeah,
We need a copy of the personnel manual. We
Yes.
don't know what we're talking about till we have that.
exactly.
Could we have could we ask like John Wolf or somebody to come up and give a presentation about what?
Yes,
goes on?
he's on the list. He is
Oh.
on the list to come and present.
Good.
But I don't know. They're taking the big guys first, and then they're
Yeah.
working their way into the
Okay.
other ones. So, but I think we have to get a manual.
Yeah,
And I
very.
bet you there are, I'm pretty sure there would be areas in the manual that would say what you do when you have a problem with the supervisors. So
That-
I don't know whether they're followed, but
What do I
what do
do?
you remember, Paul?
What do I do when I have a problem with an employee?
Just a second, you let me mute my.
When you were assessor, what did you do when you had trouble in your office?
We went to personnel,
Oh, okay.
and I
Who was
also,
HR?
I had the attorney, prosecuting attorney deputy with me, and this particular,
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, well,
So-
that makes sense.
So if we have somebody come to talk to, would it be talk to the entire CRC, or it was talking just to this committee?
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, since it's our take, I think it would be good if he wouldn't mind talking to us first, and if it goes anywhere, fine. If it doesn't, then that too. But I'm open to any suggestion here.
Well, I think getting any of the county on a Saturday is kind of a wish and a
Yeah, you're right about that.
but we can ask. We can
Yeah.
ask. And I think in order to handle any of this stuff, we have to get some answers from him.
We do.
So let's ask for a meeting. I'm going to ask him about the things I'm supposed to ask him
Sure.
about the standards applying to electeds versus
Yeah.
appointed, and then ask for a meeting.
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
appreciated.
And it's James Wolf.
James Wolf. Yep.
Okay, will do.
Thank you. Okay, so down to number 7. Make records available to the public without a fee, and without a fee. Language may include prompt.
Okay,
know.
so this is what I wrote.
Yep.
And now the reason, I'm just going to again repeat myself here, so stop me. When I worked there, I was in the council office. Our records were taken out. Mylene had sent them out for scanning, and then all the other years that weren't scanned, I personally scanned. And the story I was told was that that Stan Matthews had a software, and they were going to marry the software into the scanning. It would be open for the public. And then the public could look up any document. I was one of those people that could go to the basement at the courthouse and find a lease from 1932. I knew how to do that.
Yeah.
So, and so when people called, I could find them, but I also had a job, so I had to do that. So we did all of this, and to the very day I left the council office, everything was up to date. What happened to that project? Who knows? Everything was scanned. No, the software wasn't applied. The same thing happened in the planning department. I worked there, and I prepared all these old records for, they were taken out, scanned, and that was they were going to be spliced into or into a platform and then used for the public to find. Well, after I left, they hired a public records person because they're so lacking in transparency, the county, that people weren't getting their records. So they hired somebody whose sole job is to give people the records, where they could be online and people would feel better, if they could find their own records
Get them, yeah.
and not have to talk to somebody or pay money for a printing costs.
Yeah.
So it seems like a project that has huge ramifications, and the county slid with this, and they spent tens of thousands of dollars on software and sending documents out, and nothing has been blended. So what do you think of this statement?
That's where it's at, huh?
Let's see where the statement is. Just a sec.
I think the statement itself on number 7 is apropos to be in the charter.
Make records available to public and without fee. Language should include prompt.
Yeah, but I wrote a thing. Read what I wrote. Because
I know. I have to go back in my email and get that other thing up. Just
you
a
got to
sec.
make a copy. You got to make copies for meetings.
My printer won't copy from here. It only copies half of it when I get it up there. So it's I have to get it into my computer in Word and then copy it. I should have done it before, and I'll do that next time. So I don't have to keep doing this on.
My
There it is. I see it.
Okay, so
I see it.
the changes that I made here is I said San Juan County shall scan
Shall?
and archive for
And-
public use. And the records shall be available through acquired software for public access.
Right.
And they shall maintain a means to store and maintain.
Yeah.
So I think this is the language we want to say. We want to make it a demand, not a maybe.
Yeah,
It is a demand. Mhm.
So
So-
eventually we'll vote on this and then it'll go to the full thing. But
you want to vote on it? You want to vote on it now, or do you want to?
no, I want Olivia here. I want all of our thing. And then I
Okay,
think we'll put all our stuff together, maybe just vote on it once.
that's.
What do you think, Paul?
I think that would be fine. So you want to do the other one too as well, the personnel manual as
Yes.
well?
Yes,
Wrap that up. Okay.
yes. But I mean, if you think of better language, let's put it in, because this was just, as soon as we end our meeting, I write up my own notes because I can't remember anything by the afternoon.
Yeah. And I try doing it while we're there, but
That's hard.
it is. Ah,
Well, at first blush, I think it looks fine,
looks.
Maureen,
Yeah.
just the
yeah.
way it is.
And
Okay,
of course, when we bring it to the big meeting, I mean, they can do with it what they want.
Right. What do you think, Patty?
Oh, yeah.
You okay with the language that Maureen has set up for those
As
two?
far as language is concerned, I want things to be direct and not, and it looks very direct.
Yep, I agree.
okay. Well, we'll get Olivia's input,
Yep,
but yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we can like check to 7 and say, all right, we've come that far. So we've got 2 out of the 7.
yeah.
And the middle ones are really
The same.
very
They're related.
meaty because they're going to entail a lot of questions for the HR person.
Sure, yeah, that contact with your HR person, James Wolf, would be very helpful.
Okay,
Help iron that out.
okay, sounds
So,
good.
well, at least we're making some progress here.
Yeah, I think so.
So does that take us through all of the public records in section 1050, new language and all of that? But-
Yes,
Okay,
I believe so.
and we're not moving on to ombudsman?
the
Or-
O-man.
Not without Olivia.
Okay, so we move on. So what I have left is a discussion about elected official salaries.
Yeah, let's dive in there.
So I sent you folks some salaries for, well, I had an initial one, and then I also did another one that I sent to you that kind of took average salaries for the department heads. And then I took some ideas to try to get elected officials up to where appointed officials are being paid. And I showed that on one document.
Yeah.
So I sent that to you. I don't know if you have it, but
I have it in front of me.
But
Yeah.
now,
You
I
got
do
it,
too.
Patty? Okay.
yes,
So we can talk about that in general, and then I have a proposed sentence that we can use that kind of wraps up this whole thing. I can either read it to you now, or I can wait after we discuss this a little bit further.
go ahead and read it.
Okay, so salary proposal language I'm suggesting would be something to this effect. Annual salaries for elected officials shall be commensurate with the average department head salaries.
Mhm.
That would bring up the elected officials into the realm of appointed official salaries. But I didn't want to say, well, you don't maybe want to have it the highest, like your public works director or your community development department head, but it might be somewhere in between that and your IT department head and your HR manager, between 131,800 and 121,652. So we're in between there is what I'm kind of heading for, that the elected officials might focus in. And that's what I came up with, that bold area of 126,726, which is the average of those two different salaries. Does that make sense?
I like
Yeah.
that, Paul. Yeah.
Okay.
It will-
Go ahead.
I was going to say it will definitely have some budgeting effects,
Yeah, I know it will. Yeah, I know it will.
but I think it's a really important issue.
So one of the things that Mylene suggested, and I agree, is that if we can make the elected officials' salaries commensurate with the percentage of the Superior Court judge salary, that would really go miles. And I noticed that the counties that have that kind of system are surrounding San Juan County. It could be Skagit, Clallam County, Jefferson County, Island County. And it's interesting that there's all these islands, counties around us that use this mechanism for their elected official salaries. So I'm proposing that we do the same so that we're able to plug in those salaries to the Superior Court judge. Now, the little sentence I read to you does not say that. So there are two different things we could talk about, either just a simple sentence that talks about having elected officials being paid to the average department head salaries. That's one way. Or the other is that we can take a look at using the Superior Court salary as a basis of the percentage of that salary for the elected officials. So I didn't mean to confuse you, but those are two different.
No, I get what you're doing, but I have a question.
Go
What
ahead.
about the county council?
Why not the county council
What about the county council?
in terms of salaries?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't touch that. I guess I don't think of them as the department heads in a way. I mean, they're the officials. Yes, of course they are. But I don't see them as department heads where they have staff working. Well, they have staff working for them. So I guess you're right. Maybe we should put them into the group.
I guess I have a kind of a hard time giving everybody more money. That's how cheap I am. I mean, I'm not even sure that we should increase these salaries. I'm almost feeling that we should freeze the department heads'
I
salaries.
was going to
because-
say, it seems like we're overpaying some of our
yeah, we are
appointed
paying, I
people.
know some of these department heads, and I feel like they're making way too much money for what I know they do. And for a county that, you know, HR normally is around a $75,000 a year job in most places, in most counties and other.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy is getting like 121 or 124, something like that.
121,000.
121. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's, and he's a guy, it's a man. So all of the, you know, these are a lot of strange numbers to me. James Wolfe came after Pamela Marias was still there when I was in. And I know, well, her salary might have gone up this high. I don't know, but his went up fast.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
so we still have the elected officials out there kind of butting heads against the department heads. So I don't know how we kind of equalize that, but apparently they haven't done that over the years. So either we address it or we don't.
no, I agree that it is an important issue. I mean, it really is. It might discourage people from being elected. Of course, we do. we want to employ people who are qualified, and we don't want to have people out there running for office just out of a popularity thing who really don't know what they're doing. I mean, it's the whole question between elected and appointed, but right now the salaries are not equal. And we do need to fix that somehow.
So that's the question. How do we address that issue?
It's a good question.
Now, where do we go with it?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, if it's parity that we're seeking, rather than these high amounts, you have to look at it a little differently. Excuse me, I gotta this call.
Well, we are meeting in our homes, right?
Yes, and I'm sorry, I had to talk to my daughter for a minute there too. She just came back, but
All right.
yeah.
One of those robocallers. Okay.
Oh.
So what are we going for? Or we're just going for we're looking at this as an unfair system.
Right,
That seems to weigh heavily in non-elected people.
right.
Yeah.
And yet some of these people have been in the county for a long, long time. So they've received a lot of COLAs. They've received, and they've done salary surveys, I know, and they have decided that if you supervise X number of people, your value is this. And if you don't serve that many people, your values. And the lower people, like I was in a deputy clerk, I was the lowest branch on the tree. They just didn't give me anything. But it's very interesting how this is done. I don't know that I agree that we should kick all of these up.
Well, I question the whole idea of how many people you supervise making your job so much more important, because it's the guys who do the work that is really important. But yeah, I don't know about bumping them up, but you could, I guess, like
Well,
you were saying, at the U, we had, you could go up so far and that was it, except for your cost of living raises. But you had so many levels that you would go through for longevity, but you could have been there for 20 years and all you got was the cost of living raise.
Yeah,
At some point.
teacher salaries are the same way, Patty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I, for someone coming into a department and then getting a lot of raises quickly, it doesn't sound right to me.
Well, that's why I step aside as to a process of trying to find a way that we can bring elected officials up to the mean salary of appointed. So just simply make a statement instead of going through that process and putting something in the charter. As I stated, annual salaries of elected officials shall be commensurate with the average department head salaries.
Right.
I admire your system. I think the what you've done here is really great.
Well,
The way you've leveraged it in that way, and used a base like the judge's salary as a ballast, if you will.
And the 4 counties around us that use that, they lockstep with it, so they don't have to argue 1 year from the next where it's going to go. Because the Superior Court judge goes up, then they go up based on the percentage that they're using.
Yeah.
So does the county have a step system where, you hire into this thing and it's at this level and you can have annual increases up to that, and then there's a cap on it, and then you get cost of living maybe? Does the county have that kind of a system for salaries?
Not for elected. I can't speak.
No, I don't mean elected, but for
department
their
heads.
appointed.
Yeah, they have a system. They used to have a step system. I don't think they call it step anymore. I think they have a whole new way of doing it. But if you looked at the salaries for the frontline workers, you'd be shocked in comparison to these.
Oh, sure. No, that's the way it is.
Heads, these department heads are making twice what line workers are making. There's something wrong. And I think it's costing a lot of money for us to run a government that pays like this.
And do the department heads, they do more than supervise people, I hope. I hope they're in there actually working.
I don't know. I don't know where to go with that.
I mean, it's really important to get the people to know how to delegate and to get everything done and be responsible for the fact that your department accomplishes all of this. But I don't know. It's the work that the people do that's really important. I'm coming from both sides of the picture. You know, I started
Yeah.
as a worker and I was a supervisor and a manager and all that, but you have to also be able to step in and do the job if you need to and know what they're doing.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, you have
But
to
there should
remember-
be a big, yeah,
You have to remember that this is a salary, but on top of it is a benefit package. On top of it is the retirement fund that the county pays into for you based on what you earn. This is expensive.
It is.
very expensive.
You're right. Yep.
So
But-
I think we should just keep kicking this around and maybe this would be another James question. How are salaries arrived at? What are the starting level salaries? When we changed the council back to 3, we set a salary that the Citizens Committee agreed to at 75,000. And we thought 10 years ago that that was a healthy amount of money for a county council to work full time, no more part-time. They're in
Right.
there 5 days a week and then some.
Right.
That was the expectation. And it would attract people who could bring a professional skill to the table.
Right.
So,
Has that been increased?
well, yeah, you get COLAs, you get small increases, whatever the county offers. And that's how some of these guys, these department heads got up high, like community development. That guy's been there a long time. So you can see that he's kept earning and earning. And it's, the cost of living here gets higher every year. So,
Yep, it does.
but
How do they
IT,
determine cost of living for here?
pardon me?
How do they determine what the cost of living increase should be for here?
Oh, I don't know. You have to ask James Wolf that.
Yeah.
I mean, he would be the one to
Because I know those cost of living increases actually at the state level or at the university level, they were, they could be 2%, they could be 3% or whatever.
Right.
But
right. I think they're modest. I think they haven't offered them every year.
right.
They have, skipped a year or two because there wasn't the money there. But all I know is when I started with the county, IT was like 2 people, and now it's like 20 people, and that's a big salary.
It's a big salary. And the other thing is that as the department increases, then your manager gets paid more because he's managing all these people.
Yeah.
And do we
Yeah.
need all those people?
Because they check the boxes on those when you do a salary review or a survey. You're boxed in. You can't, if there are 3 people under you, boy, that pitches you up on the scale. So it's a funny thing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad Mylene talked with you, Paul, because she was probably feeling the inequity of this over the years.
She was, and I know John Colseth, the assessor, also. And I'm sure others do as well.
John Colseth is a good man.
He is.
We're very lucky to have.
We are
John
very
there.
lucky. Yes, totally agree. He was the last employee that I hired back before I retired.
Uh-huh. I think that this current 97,000, I thought that was like the starting salary.
Well, according to Mylene, that's what they're paid this year.
Huh. That would be a question. What is a starting salary for an elected?
It
Is
is
there,
what- I don't know if there's a starting or an end. It is what it is, just for that
It is
year.
what it is. Yeah.
You don't progress up steps or anything.
Right.
oh, I think you get COLAs.
Well, you get COLAs. but that's
Really?
from
Oh,
staff.
yeah.
Officials?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You get
sure you
COLAs,
do.
but COLAs are different from steps.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. I'm
Steps
sure they did.
apply longevity, but COLAs are, okay, you've been there and you get a cost of living increase and everybody gets it.
Yeah, with the time I was in there as elected official, it didn't change for years. And then all of a sudden, Our
Huh.
auditor went to the county commissioners and wow, we got an increase for that particular time. So it didn't go year by year by year. It didn't happen that way at all.
Well,
Hmm.
definitely salaries need to be addressed, and I don't know whether our commission is the right place to address it, but we do have to bring it up as something that needs to be addressed.
Well, without bringing up the percentage of the Superior Court judge as a basis, if you just want to put a sentence that I read to you earlier, or even a modification of that sentence, that would at least get us into the arena of being able to address elected versus department head salaries.
Yes.
So annual salaries of elected officials shall be commensurate with the average department head salaries. Just a simple statement like that.
Yeah.
Should be.
However that is done, it needs to be.
Yeah, if we can want to put more meat into it, we certainly can do that, but at least that would be a start.
It would be worth our while, because I think this is a great discussion, to invite the union guy here, Colin Maycock. He would be delighted to do a Zoom with us on a Saturday morning.
Uh-huh.
And he could answer questions about his, he fights with the county all the time for getting better wages for the average worker.
Right.
And yet, they push back on the union, and yet they're paying department heads. I think this is exorbitant for I don't know how I don't know where the money's coming from. Monopoly money.
Well, I was glad to be able to bring this to this committee, the issue, but where we go with it, I just don't know.
Well, I think we go to James Wolfe. We definitely do a major conversation with him, and I think we bring Colin Maycock in and compare notes on what both of them say, and that might fill out this a little bit more.
So
Because where I sit right now, I'm not willing to give the electeds any more money. I mean, I just don't feel right about that when I know the department heads are getting way up too much and the workers are getting way too little.
So how do we equalize all that? That's the
Well,
question.
we can take a position, and we can say, we can make a recommendation for a solution that maybe we haven't arrived at yet, but we can make a big recommendation and say, you have a very, extraordinarily unfair system, and there needs to be some, it has to be leavened out.
It'd be
Well-
really difficult to reduce anybody's salaries,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
know that, but
Yeah.
you can freeze them.
Yeah.
So can we, when we talk to James Wolfe, or he comes to talk with us, is that a conversation we would like to have with him? In terms of department head and elected?
Yeah, I mean, I think that James, I think we ask him everything.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, we have a meeting before we meet with him, and we make a game plan.
Mhm.
We've set up questions so that we know what we want to get from him, and not just make it loose and
Yeah.
whatever, just really focus on what we want us to do. Because he's going to say, oh, this is equal to what other counties are getting, and all of these are right in where they ought to be. I mean, he's not going to offer a solution. We're just going to have to pick his brain
So
or interrogate him with a big light over his head.
are you talking about when he comes to meet with the commission as a whole?
No, us.
Or
I'm
are
gonna
we
try
going
to
to bring
get
him
him.
in?
I'm
We're
going
going to bring him into us?
Yeah,
Okay, good,
I'm going to ask him to join a Zoom on a Saturday morning.
good.
But I want to be sure that we have our questions and our strategy
Yes.
lined up before we meet with him. Colin, I know of very well, and he'll sound very brusque. He's an English guy, big English guy,
Mhm.
but he's a really smart man, and he'll give us straight answers. But again, we'll plan what we want to ask of him. Okay,
Do we
so
wanna-
that,
Shall we look at a time or date when we would like to do that?
yeah, but I'll tell you what about next week? What do we say about next week?
Well, I thought because we're having the town meetings that we were going to put off our meeting
I think we should.
next Saturday.
Yeah, because that's so many hours.
So that means 2 weeks then, right?
Right, but in 2 weeks, will that give us enough time to put a strategy together about questions we want to ask? Or can we do that by email with each other?
That would be okay by me. What do you think, Patty?
Yeah, this system is tough for me, but yes, we do need to get this together because we don't want to stretch it out forever. If we were able to meet next week, that would be the appropriate time to do it. So we're not meeting. So yeah, let's email.
Because of the town meetings we're having.
Yeah, we have Friday night and then Saturday. That's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
We're
a lot
meeting
of
all the
hours.
time now, but yeah. So
The next one would be the 20th.
will one of you guys invite these
Yeah.
guys, and do we want
I'll be
one?
happy to do that.
yeah, Maureen's got connections.
And Maureen, do you want to have one on the 20th and then one on the 27th kind of thing?
Well,
You
we'll
know, or do we want both of them in the same meeting?
No, that'd be an overload. I think we should get James in at like 9:30
Oh, okay,
on the 20th, if he'll do it.
yeah.
And we'll grill him for half an hour.
Yeah, I don't think we're having a whole large agenda this next time around because we're waiting for Olivia to do some of her part. So that would also be included as well. So it's going to be interesting how we're going to get this all folded together.
Okay, so what we need is a personnel manual.
Yep.
And I think we need the manual before we see James.
Okay, good, yeah.
I mean, I don't think we have to have informed questions.
Yeah,
And right now, we're not informed enough. We can't even talk about the ombudsman until we know what's in the manual and the language for the bullying and all that stuff. So
totally.
So when you
we have
talk
to do
about
that first.
when you talk about a manual, Maureen, are you talking about actually a book you open up and you look at policies, or are these all online? I presume they're all.
I don't know. I'm gonna find out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you could presume that they're all scanned too, but they're not. So let me find out. And if and I should make him put it online because that's the best way for us to look
Oh,
at it.
sure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we agree.
Okay, so that's really critical. So I don't think we book anybody until we get this in order.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we'll wait for you to give us some thoughts on it, and we'll get back to you.
and
Yes.
you can get back to us via email if you want, as soon as you know anything about the manual, and then send it out. I mean, we don't have to meet before we get it, obviously.
Yes, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to contact James Wolf, and I'm going to say, we want to know about the personnel standards. Are they applicable? Are they the same applicable to electeds versus non-electeds?
Mhm.
And then I'm going to say, we need a manual ASAP so that we can go through it. We're interested in some very specific areas.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to ask him if he's willing to meet with us on a Saturday morning during our meeting time to answer some of our questions. If we get yeses on all of that, then we start writing, or you could do it now. Just start writing questions down that you have. Start writing them, send them to each other, and let's just go through it, and it'll open up more ideas for what we want to say. And then I think we have to have a meeting where we go,
Yeah.
Let's be sure these are the things. So if it doesn't happen in 2 weeks, it'll happen. We won't worry about the timing.
But let's get that manual as soon as we can so we can read it. It's probably big.
Oh, it's, I know I have one around here, but here's the problem. They don't update it. I had a problem with the county, and I had a problem, and the personnel manual was out of date, and Pamela never updated it. So I don't know whether James has done that yet. They always seem too busy putting out fires that they've made themselves. So I'll start with that, and then I'll let you know right away. And
I don't want to put too much on your shoulders, Maureen.
this is easy, and I can do this in writing pretty quickly. And thank you.
One of the big things that was really important at the university, but never actually, over the 44 years I was there, we never really ended up with a good system, and they may have one now. But one of the things was that the employees, or the people who were supervised, really wanted to be given feedback correctly, and they would be able, for an evaluation of how they were doing. They wanted that to be done annually, and they wanted it to be done in, oh boy, you had to make up all kinds of questions and then say what would be, my language is getting away from me, but, you know, give a sentence as to, okay, if this is excellent, this is what you would be doing as an example. And if this is exceeds or just is satisfactory, you know, those sorts of things. And the employees wanted that feedback, but it was a real difficult thing to have. And then of course you could turn around and have the employees do their supervisors, but that was never even questioned. I don't know whether the county has anything like that. Do they get evaluations every year? And if so, what are the evaluations based on?
They do, there are evaluations, there's some pro forma things, and they do require them. A lot of people don't get them. I mean,
Yeah.
some departments just don't get to that.
It's time consuming. It's terribly time consuming, but it is
Yeah.
important feedback. And I think the most important thing was to meet with each one and discuss what the evaluation was and why, and then have the feedback from the employee. And, you know, that way it was the valuable exercise. If it's just something that goes in your folder and then, I don't know, people
Yeah.
were looking at that for promotions and things like that. You know, it's important.
Yeah, it is. It is important. What university were you working for?
University of Washington.
Ah,
Yeah, sorry, I always say the university, but
that's that's okay. All right. Well, I get it. I was going to say something and I forgot it now. I don't know. Whatever. So, Paul, what do you think we should do? We want to leave it at this until we get some of these answers?
Yeah, I think, I think we've gone as far as we can right now. And
Okay.
I really hope that James Wolf would be able to come with us and flesh it out a little bit more and see if we want to do anything at all or just leave it lie. But at least I think it's good that we talk about it though.
Yeah,
I
I do.
do.
So
I think
kind of where I'm at.
you've hit on some good notes with your the paper you've done, and I think it's very important. Right now, I'm just feeling reluctant to kick in any more money, and you know, ombudsmans and all these things, these cost money.
I
So
know.
creating more positions doesn't seem to be the right solution.
No, you're right.
I never thought in a million years I'd say I'm trying to save the county money, but I'm trying to save the county money.
Exactly.
I don't know whether it's all necessary,
I
but
have my way.
systems can be changed.
If I had my way, we can find out that we feel that the appointed officials are too high, and we can say that they're too high, and we know that we have the evidence to show they're too high, that we equalize those and drop them. That's never going to happen, but that would be my suggestion, and use some of the funds from that to bring up the elected officials so the two come together. But that's the ideal situation. Whether that's possible,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
totally
because-
agree with you.
pardon?
I totally agree with you,
Yeah.
Maureen.
Yeah, the manual and the other stuff are more like contracts these days, and you can't really get out of a contract that easily. So
That's
if you're
true.
hired for something, it's unlikely that you can ever go down on that amount.
I hadn't even thought about that, Marina. If they are on contract, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that makes a
Yeah.
difference.
What's the difference?
No, I say that would make a difference if they're.
It would make a difference. You know, that's what I was trying to communicate to everybody about the county manager. You know, the county manager's contract comes through the headhunter group that brought him to our door. And it is, if you really want to learn about salaries, we should get a copy of that contract, which we got last time. It is guaranteed like 6 months of salary after he leaves the job.
Oh,
He begins with a benefit package that is, you know, 6 months into employment. It's unbelievable. It's like umbrella clauses and or parachute clauses.
is he the only one on contract, or some of the other department heads are also on contract?
I think contract isn't the interesting word. I think a lot of the arrangements are considered contracts.
Well, that's a legal document.
Yeah, but well, for sure he's a contract, but I suspect there are other legally defined contracts.
You bet.
So,
Well,
and Colin will help us with that. Colin is really smart.
and of course, that should be public information, I would think.
Mhm.
Yeah,
All of
yeah.
it.
Well, shall we wrap things up?
Let's wrap it up. Thank you so much, both of you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Everybody, thank you, Maureen. Thank
Yeah.
you, Paul.
We're gonna throw back in your lap and sing, and heck, Patty,
I'm only going to do one email with all these things in it, so it's not like it's that big of a deal.
okay.
Thank you.
So we're going to adjourn, right?
Okay.
Are we doing a motion?
Do we need a motion to adjourn? How about you, Patty?
I move we adjourn.
I second it.
And we vote and we say yes. We
Yes.
adjourn.
Aye, yes.
Aye, 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 aye.
Thank you both so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Maureen. We thank
I'll
you
see you
so much.
soon.
Thank
See
you,
you
Patty.
soon.
I'm stopping.